1, we're checking out this really interesting 1978 Ford Ranchero GT that just popped up on Craigslist for $7,900. Let me tell you, these car-truck hybrids are becoming quite the collectibles nowadays. This particular example is rocking its original 351 Windsor V8, which is honestly one of Ford's most reliable engines from that era. With just 69,000 miles on the clock, that's surprisingly low for a 45-year-old vehicle. The sellers got it wearing fresh green paint, and from what they're saying, it's in excellent condition. Now, while I always take runs like new claims with a grain of salt on classic vehicles, the clean title and original powertrain are definitely positive signs. The automatic transmission and RWD setup were pretty standard for these Rancheros, making them comfortable cruisers with decent hauling capability. At $7,900, you're looking at a fair price in today's market, especially considering the fresh paint job and low mileage. These Ranchero GTs are getting harder to find in good condition, and this one seems to be a solid example. Just remember, like any classic car from the 70s, you'll want to check for the usual rust spots and make sure all the electronics are working properly. It's definitely worth a look if you're into unique classics that can still handle some light truck duties while turning heads at car shows. 2. We're looking at something really special, a 1959 Dodge D100 Power Wagon that's popped up on Craigslist for $19,500. Let me tell you, finding one of these with a factory PTO and winch is like discovering buried treasure. This is one of those trucks that helped build America, and with just 46,000 miles showing, it's remarkably well preserved. The sellers got a point about checking Hemmings. These power wagons are seriously appreciating classics, and $19,500 is actually pretty reasonable in today's market. The clean green paint and excellent condition rating suggest this isn't some beaten-up farm truck. The manual transmission paired with the 4WD system is exactly what you want in these old workhorses, and it's how they came from the factory. What makes this particularly interesting is that factory PTO and winch setup, that's rare equipment that really adds to both the functionality and collectability. The clean title is another big plus, as these old trucks often lived hard lives and title issues aren't uncommon. Being completely honest here, if you're in the market for a classic power wagon, this one deserves a serious look. The price point, while not cheap, is actually quite fair for what you're getting, especially considering the current market for vintage 4x4s. Just remember, these are old-school trucks with old-school driving characteristics. They're not your modern comfort cruisers, but that's part of their charm. This is definitely one of those don't wait too long situations. Clean power wagons like this don't tend to sit around for long at this price point. 3. We're checking out a pretty interesting 1969 Chevrolet El Camino that's listed for $29,000 on Craigslist. Now, let's be upfront here. This is a clone of the SS 396, not an original SS, which is important to know when we're talking about this price point. But don't let that turn you away just yet. This El Camino is rocking a big block V8 paired with the robust TH400 automatic transmission, a combination that's known for reliable power delivery. With just 16,159 miles showing, though on these classics always verify if that's since restoration, and the seller claiming no rust and a straight body, this blue beauty seems to be in solid shape. The interior has received some attention with a new headliner and visors, which is always a good sign of maintenance. Power steering and power brakes are welcome features that make this classic much more enjoyable to drive day to day. Those rally wheels really complete the period-correct look too. Now, being honest about the price, $29,000 is sitting at the higher end for a clone, even in today's market. If this were a documented original SS 396, we'd be having a different conversation. However, the combination of apparently good condition, no rust, which is huge for these, and the desirable big block powertrain still makes it worth considering for the right buyer. Just remember, if you're interested, you'll want to verify all the mechanical work that's been done and maybe get some documentation about the build. These El Caminos are awesome vehicles that combine classic muscle car style with actual utility, but at this price point, you'll want to do your due diligence. 4. We're looking at a really interesting 1949 GMC 100 pickup that's popped up on Craigslist for $15,500 in Mesa, Arizona. I've got to appreciate the seller's honesty here. They're upfront about exactly what this truck is and isn't, and I respect that. This GMC is running its original 228 engine that's been rebuilt, paired with a Muncie 4-speed and Hurst shifter. That's a solid drivetrain combo that'll make this old girl fun to drive. The seller's done some smart upgrades, like the oversized radiator to keep things cool in that Arizona heat, and a Flowmaster 40 series muffler that probably gives it a nice rumble. The interior's received some serious attention. We're talking new carpet with sound deadener, always a good touch. Fresh houndstooth and leather upholstery on the original bench seat, and matching leather door panels. They've even got the dash lights and dome light working, which can be rare in these old trucks. Now let's be real about the condition. It's rocking a patina look with clear coat over the original paint, and the seller's honest about it having bumps and bruises. There's a cracked windshield on the passenger side, and it could use some upgrades like disc brakes and better door latches. But hey, that's part of the charm with these old trucks, right? The fresh bedwood and strips are a nice touch, and those US Wheels Vintiques rolling on 295s in the rear give it a great stance. At $15,500, considering the work done and the current market for classic trucks, especially in this condition, it's actually pretty fairly priced. Plus, it comes with extra parts and documentation, which is always a bonus. 5. We're looking at something truly special. A 1976 Ford F-250 Ranger XLT that's listed for $26,500, and let me tell you, this isn't your average old Ford truck. What we've got here is a remarkable time capsule with documented history that's genuinely exciting. Let's talk about what makes this truck so special. First off, it's a two-owner vehicle from Idaho with just 69,225 original documented miles. The 390 V8 engine, automatic transmission, and Dana 60 rear axle are all original. And get this, you can still see the factory crayon marks and stickers on the engine. That's the kind of preservation that makes collectors' hearts race. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. According to the Marti report, which is like the holy grail of Ford documentation, this is one of only 7 trucks built with those specific Western low-mount swing-lock mirrors, and one of 139 with this particular paint and interior combo. The luxury group option package makes this F-250 especially rare. We're talking about special tan vinyl and tufted cloth upholstery, cut pile carpets, wood grain trim, and even a tufted headliner. The brown paint is original, which is incredible for a 47-year-old truck, and the original spare tire has never even been removed from the bed. That's the kind of detail that tells you how well preserved this truck is. At $26,500, while it might seem steep for a 76 F-250 at first glance, this price is actually quite fair when you consider its documented rarity, exceptional originality, and preserved condition. This isn't just an old work truck, it's a piece of Ford history with documentation to prove its significance. For someone looking for an investment-grade vintage truck or a serious collector piece, this is one of those rare opportunities where you're getting something truly special. The documentation, low ownership, originality, and rare options make this a unique find in today's market. 6. We're checking out this interesting 1978 Chevy Blazer I found on Craigslist, and I've got to tell you, this one's caught my attention. Listed at $16,800, this classic SUV has had some significant work done. The sellers installed a fresh 350 4-bolt main motor, which is definitely a solid choice for these vehicles. The odometer shows 3,000 miles, but it's worth noting that it has rolled over, so we're not looking at the actual total mileage here. What's really nice is that both the AC and heater are working properly, something that's not always a given with vehicles of this age. The interior is reported to be in good condition, and they've recently replaced the power steering pump, which is another plus. It's running on gas with an automatic transmission, and it's got a clean title, which is always reassuring. The asking price of $16,800 OBO is in the higher range for these Blazers, but with the new motor and working AC, it might be worth considering if you're in the market for a classic Blazer. The seller seems pretty straightforward. They're only taking cash, no trades, and they're clear about not wanting low-ball offers. Honestly, it sounds like a genuine sale from someone who just has too many trucks in their collection. Remember, as with any classic vehicle purchase, you'll want to see it in person and maybe get a mechanic's opinion before making a decision. But from what we can see in the listing, this could be a solid choice for someone looking for a well-maintained classic Blazer. 7. We're looking at something pretty unique, a 1962 GMC rat rod that's caught my eye for $6,000. Now, let's be real here. This is a true rat rod with all the character that comes with it. The seller's upfront about the rusty body, which has been patched up. But hey, that's part of the rat rod charm, right? What's really interesting here is that this is a 2500 model with the rare matching numbers Big Block V6 and an 8-lug setup. That's some pretty cool stuff for GMC enthusiasts. The 4-speed manual transmission adds to the old-school driving experience, and the seller claims it runs and drives excellently, which is honestly the most important part of any rat rod build. They've put some meaningful work into it. New tires, fresh battery, new brake lines, fuel lines, and a Holley carb. The frame is solid, which is crucial because that's your foundation right there. Having a clean title is definitely a plus for a vehicle of this age. For $6,000, you're getting a piece of automotive history with that classic rat rod style. Sure, it's rough around the edges, but that's exactly what makes it cool. This isn't a show queen, it's a character-filled workhorse that's been given a second life as a rat rod. If you're into unique builds and don't mind, or actually prefer, the weathered look, this could be a really fun project that you can actually drive while you work on it. Just remember, with any rat rod, you're buying into a specific style and culture. It's not meant to be pretty, it's meant to be awesome. 8. We're checking out a pretty interesting 1983 Chevrolet Suburban K20 Scottsdale 4x4, listed at $7,500. Let me tell you, this is one of those honest survivors that's got some real character to it. The heart of this beast is a 350 V8, paired with a TH400 transmission. That's a bulletproof combo right there. What's really cool is that this isn't just any Suburban. It's loaded with factory options like tilt steering, cruise control, power locks, windows, rear AC, and even a third row. Oh, and get this, it's got a working CB radio. How's that for some 80s nostalgia? The seller's been super transparent about everything. The white paint is apparently paper thin, hiding what could be a pretty sweet original two-tone copper and gold finish underneath. The 4x4 system is working, and it fires up first crank, which is always a good sign. They've done quite a bit of mechanical work to keep it running right. New fuel pump, ignition module, rotor, 600 CFM 4-barrel carb, fresh oil change, battery, and the list goes on. They even upgraded the master cylinder with a 91 model unit. Now, let's be real about the issues. The AC's questionable. That pancake compressor might be toast. It needs new tires, and there's some electrical gremlins with the power windows and locks. But hey, at least the lights and wipers work. For $7,500, you're getting a solid running K20 Suburban that you can actually use while you fix it up. These square-body Suburbans are getting harder to find, especially with a clean Texas title and working 4x4. It's not perfect, but it's honest, and sometimes that's exactly what you want in a classic SUV. Whether you're looking for a ranch vehicle or a weekend cruiser to fix up, this big boy's got potential. 9. We're looking at a pretty sweet 1979 GMC K15 that's caught my attention, listed at $19,800. Let me tell you, this isn't your average beat-up square body. This truck has clearly been shown some serious love. The seller's gone all out with a ground-up rebuild on this one. We're looking at a 305 V8 under the hood, paired with an automatic transmission and 4-wheel drive, a classic combination for these trucks. The odometer shows 86,000 miles, and given all the fresh work, those miles really don't matter much here. What's really impressive is the list of new components. They've installed a fresh wooden bed floor, which always looks fantastic on these classics. A complete new exhaust system, new tires, new brakes, and even a new fuel tank. That's hitting all the major mechanical points that typically need attention on these old trucks. The red paint looks clean in the photos, and with a clean title, you're getting a properly sorted classic truck. At $19,800, yes, it's sitting at the higher end of the market for these K15s, but considering it's been rebuilt from the ground up, You're essentially getting a freshly restored classic that's ready to roll. This isn't a project truck. It's one where someone else has already done all the heavy lifting. For someone looking for a well-sorted square-body GMC that they can drive and enjoy immediately, this could be your ticket. These trucks are only getting more popular, and finding one that's been properly rebuilt isn't easy. Just remember, as with any classic vehicle, it's always worth seeing it in person and maybe getting a mechanic's opinion before making the jump. 10. We're looking at a pretty interesting 1964 Chevy pickup that's got a hefty price tag of $27,000, and the seller's firm on that price. Now, I've got to be honest here. The seller's description is incredibly sparse for a truck commanding this kind of money. What we do know is that it's a long bed model with what's claimed to be 96,000 original miles, and it's sporting a 3-speed manual transmission on the column, which is a cool, period-correct setup. The seller describes it as a beauty, and it must have something special going for it at that price point. But without more details about its condition, restoration history, or any modifications, it's hard to give you the full picture. Here's the thing. 1964. Chevy trucks are highly desirable classics, and fully restored examples can definitely command prices in this range or even higher. However, with such limited information in the listing, I'd strongly recommend seeing this one in person before considering that $27,000 price tag. You'd want to verify the condition, check the originality, and really understand what you're getting for your money. The clean title is a plus, but for this kind of investment, you'd want to know a lot more about the truck's history, any restoration work, the condition of the drivetrain, and the overall state of the body and frame. If you're seriously interested, you'll definitely want to ask the seller for more details and probably get a thorough inspection. Remember, in the classic truck market, documentation and condition are everything. 11. We're checking out a really interesting 1984 Chevrolet K10 Scottsdale Long Bed 4x4 listed at $13,500. Let me tell you, this is one of those rare finds where the seller is refreshingly honest about every detail. This brown beauty is powered by a 305 V8 with an automatic transmission, and what makes it special is how original and unmolested it is. We're looking at a 3-owner truck with a clean Texas title, originally from Oregon. No AC on this one, but it does have tilt steering and that classic AM radio setup. The previous owner did some serious mechanical maintenance. We're talking rear main seal, oil pan gasket, intake manifold gasket, ignition components, differential service, transmission service, and transfer case work. The current owner hasn't slacked either, adding new Goodyear tires with less than 500 miles on them, AC Delco Gold ceramic brake pads, and a new voltmeter gauge. Now, let's be real about the issues because there are some. There's a whiskey dent on the left bedside, some rust starting on the rocker panels, a cracked windshield, and the original seat cover is splitting on the driver's side. The dash pad is starting to crack too, and the high-speed setting on the wipers isn't working. The odometer shows 25K miles, but it's being sold as 125K, exempt. What's really cool is that almost everything works, even those little details like the 4-wheel drive indicator light and choke indicator that usually fail on these trucks. The body is straight except for that one dent, and the paint appears to be original. At $13,500, considering the current market for square-body Chevys, this is actually pretty fair pricing for an honest, well-maintained example. Sure, it needs some cosmetic attention, but mechanically it's been well cared for. 12. We're looking at a pretty sweet piece of American farming history, a 1965 Ford F100 that's listed for $7,900. This is one of those honest working trucks that's got a story to tell. What we've got here is a blue F100 with its original straight-six engine paired with the classic 3-on-the-tree manual transmission, a setup that's becoming increasingly rare to find in original condition. The seller mentions it purrs like a kitten and starts right up, which is always good to hear with these old workhorses. The odometer shows 94,738 miles, but it has rolled over, so we're looking at more miles than that. But hey, that's expected for a farm truck of this age. What I really like about this listing is its honesty. This isn't some over-restored showpiece. It's a genuine working truck that's been serving its purpose on a family farm. It's currently on non-op status, but has a clean title, and the seller claims it works and runs great. At $7,900, you're looking at a fair price for a running, driving piece of Ford truck history. These F100s are getting harder to find, especially ones that haven't been modified or beaten to death. This could be perfect for someone looking for either a classic daily driver to fix up gradually or a solid foundation for a restoration project. Just remember, being a farm truck, you'll want to check for the usual rust spots and wear that comes with that kind of life. But sometimes those honest working trucks make the best projects. 13. We're checking out a pretty cool 1977 Ford F-150 4A4 that's up for grabs at $9,500. Let me tell you about this classic workhorse. This F-150's got some serious muscle under the hood with its 351 V8, and what makes it even better is they've upgraded it with a Holley 600 CFM 4-barrel carb and a Weiand intake manifold. That's a solid combination for reliable power. The 4-speed manual transmission makes this truck a blast to drive, and it's got those quality Warn hubs for the 4Air 4 system, which is a nice upgrade over the stock units. The odometer shows 50,000 miles, and while that might be rolled over, pretty common for these old trucks, the important thing is that the seller says it runs and drives great, with a working 444 system. That's really what matters with these vintage trucks. At $9,500 or best offer, you're looking at a fair price for a classic F-150 4X4, especially one with the desirable 351 4-speed combo and some nice performance upgrades. These 70s Ford trucks are gaining popularity, and finding one with working 4X4 and a manual transmission isn't as common as it used to be. This could be perfect for someone looking for a classic truck they can actually use while potentially fixing up over time. Just remember to check those usual rust spots and mechanical components in person, as you would with any classic truck. 14. We're looking at a 1965 Ford F-100 that's listed for $5,800, and let me tell you, this one's got an interesting story. This green workhorse is powered by the classic inline-6 engine, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission with that super low granny gear, a setup that's getting harder to find these days. The seller's being refreshingly honest about this truck. It starts right up, runs smooth, and apparently doesn't leak, which is pretty impressive for a truck this age. Now, let's talk about the real situation here. The odometer shows 400,000 miles. That's a lot of life lived. But here's what's good. The heat works, the wipers work, even the cab light works, and they've added a CD player for some modern convenience. However, it does need front brake pads as they're starting to grind, so that's something you'd need to address pretty quickly. The seller's upfront about some rust issues and offers to send pictures, which is always appreciated in classic truck listings. They bought it for moving purposes, and with a baby on the way, they're looking to move it along. At $5,800 firm, you're looking at a driver-quality classic truck that needs some attention, but isn't a complete project either. These old F-100s are indeed getting harder to find, especially with the original 6-cylinder 4-speed combo. If you're looking for an honest, running and driving classic truck that you can fix up while you use it, this could be worth checking out. Just make sure to inspect those rust spots carefully and factor in the immediate need for brake work. Remember, sometimes the most honest trucks make the best projects. 15. We're checking out a pretty sweet 1972 Chevrolet El Camino that's listed for $15,500, and this one's got some interesting features that make it stand out. First off, we're looking at what appears to be a genuine SS model based on the VIN number mentioned, and it's packing a numbers-matching 350 V8 with a 4-barrel carb. That's a desirable combo right there. The odometer shows just 52,000 original miles, which is impressively low for a 50-year-old vehicle. It's currently plated and insured, which means it's a driver, not just a garage queen. What's really nice about this one is that the seller claims everything works except the radio. We're talking about working gauges, AC heater, horn, and all the lights. The interior is described as being clean with no tears or cracks, which is pretty rare for these old El Caminos, and they're reporting a straight body, which is crucial. At $15,500, while it's not cheap, you're getting a numbers-matching SS El Camino with low miles and most systems functioning. The seller describes it as a perfect candidate for restoration, which suggests it might need some cosmetic attention to reach its full potential. But being a turnkey driver means you can enjoy it while you improve it. These 72 El Caminos, especially SS models, are becoming increasingly desirable collector's items. If you're in the market for a classic El Camino that you can drive right away while gradually restoring it to show condition, this could be worth checking out. Just remember to verify that SS documentation and numbers matching status in person. These details can make a big difference in value. 16. We're checking out a pretty interesting 1978 Chevy 3/4-ton 4x4 that's listed for $6,500, and let me tell you, this one's got that classic work truck character. We're looking at a long bed setup powered by a 350 V8 paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. That's a bulletproof combo that these trucks are known for. With 137,600 miles on the clock, it's definitely been used, but these old Chevys were built to last. The seller's honest about listing it in fair condition, which is refreshing to see. What's cool about this one is it's got some useful upgrades, new tires, always a plus, and a winch bumper, which is perfect if you're planning to do any serious off-roading or work with it. The seller says it runs and drives great, which is really what matters with these vintage workhorses. At $6,500, you're looking at a fair price for a running and driving classic 3/4-ton 4x4, especially in today's market. These square-body Chevys are getting more popular every day, and finding one with working 4x4 and a manual transmission isn't as common as it used to be. This could be perfect for someone looking for a classic work truck they can actually use, or a solid foundation for a gradual restoration project. Remember, it's listed in fair condition, so expect some wear and tear. But sometimes these honest working trucks make the best projects. Just be sure to check those usual rust spots and mechanical components in person, as you would with any classic truck from this era. 17. We've got a real treat for you. A 1968 Ford Ranchero that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $12,000. This beauty has been lovingly restored and is ready to hit the road with its new owner. First off, let's talk about that rebuilt engine. With only 9,000 miles on it, this Ranchero is practically brand new under the hood. And with aluminum heads, roller rockers, and a high-performance cam, you know this baby is going to purr like a kitten. But the upgrades don't stop there. This Ranchero has been outfitted with a 5-speed manual T5 transmission, giving you ultimate control over your driving experience. And with 4-wheel disc brakes, you'll have plenty of stopping power when you need it. Inside, the interior has been completely redone, so you'll be riding in style and comfort. And with new tires with 0 miles on them, you'll be gripping the road like never before. But let's talk about the real showstoppers here. The chrome. From the radiator hose covers to the oil pan to the alternator bracket, this Ranchero is dripping in shiny, eye-catching chrome. And with blue dash lights to match the paint, you'll be turning heads wherever you go. Now I know what you're thinking. A car this nice must be too good to be true. But the seller assures us that the condition is like new, and with a clean title and only 9,000 miles on the odometer, we have no reason to doubt them. So if you're in the market for a classic car that's been given a modern upgrade, look no further than this 1968 Ford Ranchero. With its powerful engine, sleek interior, and chrome for days, this is a car that's sure to impress. 18. We've got a real treat for you, a 1962 Ford F100 that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $10,000. This classic pickup is a true gem, and I can't wait to dive into the details. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes it as good, which is always a positive sign. With just 34,000 miles on the odometer, this F100 has plenty of life left in it. The red paint job is sure to turn heads wherever you go, and the clean title means you won't have any hassles when it comes to paperwork. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder, 302 small block V8 engine that runs on gasoline. This beast is paired with a 4-matic automatic transmission, which includes an overdrive feature for smooth cruising on the highway. One quirky aspect of this F100 is the clutch pedal. It's only there as a safety feature, and you'll need to push it down to start the truck. But hey, that just adds to the charm, right? Now, I want to be straight with you. While the seller says the condition is good, it's important to remember that this is a 60-year-old vehicle. It may have some imperfections or signs of wear and tear that come with age. However, that's all part of the appeal of owning a classic like this. It's got character, history, and a story to tell. Overall, if you're in the market for a vintage pickup with a ton of personality, this 1962 Ford F100 is definitely worth checking out. With its long bed, odd body style, and impressive mechanical features, it's a unique find that's sure to make you the talk of the town. 19. We've got a real treat for you. A 1971 Chevrolet C10 that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $14,900. This classic pickup is a true beauty, and I can't wait to share all the juicy details with you. First things first, let's talk about what's under the hood. This C10 is packing a powerful 350 engine that's paired with a TH350 automatic transmission. And if that wasn't enough, it's also got a 12-bolt Posei rear end, which means you'll have plenty of traction and power when you need it most. Plus, with power steering and brakes, this truck is a breeze to drive. Now, I want to be straight with you. The seller describes the condition as fair, which means there are some imperfections to keep in mind. The floorboards have some rust, and there are bubbles on the bottom of the doors and rockers. But hey, that's all part of the charm of owning a classic like this. It's got character, history, and a story to tell. Despite the minor flaws, this C10 runs and drives excellently. All the lights and gauges work so you won't have any surprises when you're out on the road. And with new seats and a console, the interior is looking pretty sharp too. One thing to note, this is an original short bed, not a cut-down. That means it's got all the classic styling you'd expect from a 71 C10, without any modifications. And with just 86,000 miles on the odometer, this truck has plenty of life left in it. The seller mentions that they plan on working on the truck as time permits, so the price may go up or it may be pulled off the market. So if you're interested, you better act fast. The price is firm at $14,900, and the seller isn't interested in any trades. Overall, if you're in the market for a classic pickup with a ton of potential, this 1971 Chevrolet C10 is definitely worth checking out. With its powerful engine, excellent driving condition, and original styling, it's a rare find that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. 20. We've got a real treat for you. A 1983 GMC C2500 that's up for grabs on Craigslist for $20,000. This classic pickup is a true gem, and I can't wait to dive into the details. First off, let's talk about what we know. This C2500 is powered by a 350 engine and comes with an automatic transmission, making it a breeze to drive. It's also a 2WD model, which means it's perfect for cruising around town or hitting the highway for a weekend getaway. Now, I want to be straight with you. The seller hasn't provided a ton of information about the condition of this truck. They've listed the title status as clean, which is always a good sign. But beyond that, we don't have much to go on. Without more details, it's tough to say whether this C2500 is in pristine condition or if it's got some wear and tear. As an enthusiast, I always recommend doing your due diligence and inspecting a vehicle in person before making a purchase. That way, you can get a better sense of what you're getting into. One thing to keep in mind, the seller is only accepting calls, no texts. So, if you're interested in learning more about this truck, you'll need to pick up the phone and give them a ring. Despite the limited information, there's no denying that this 1983 GMC C2500 has a lot of potential. With its classic styling and powerful engine, it's sure to turn heads wherever you go. And if it's been well maintained over the years, it could be a real gem. Of course, the price tag of $20,000 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a significant investment for any vehicle, let alone a classic pickup. But if you're a serious collector or enthusiast, it might be worth the splurge. Overall, if you're in the market for a vintage truck with a ton of character, This 1983 GMC C2500 is definitely worth checking out. Just be sure to do your homework and get all the facts before making a decision.